Hey everyone. Okay, week two nutrition Zoom, and I'm guessing a lot of people are going to watch a recording because I don't have anyone on live, but that is okay. I still want to go ahead and do this call for you because we are talking about blood sugar, food noise, and hunger hormones, and I think that's really important for us to understand and also to see how our Slim and Trim system, the purple drink, is really helping with these things. And hopefully, now that we are in our second week of the program, you are starting to notice some changes. And I just want to reassure you that everyone is different. So for some people, they will feel changes right away. I even have a friend who, like, on day one was like, I can't believe this, but my energy feels a little better. Like, how is that possible? And for other people, it takes a little time. There can also be a bit of a detox window because the Restore that you're adding to your purple drink is breaking down toxins in your liver and you are flushing those toxins out. So it is really important that you're hydrated and that you're eating as nutritious as possible. You can add lemon to your water. You want to eat that apple every day because that binds to toxins. But just realize that if you are experiencing any detox symptoms, it is normal. Please let us know because we can help and support you through it. And then that window of detox should pass as you stay consistent, as you continue to work through it. So don't give up and don't quit. If you are experiencing detox, push through, support your system, get some extra rest, take some Epsom salt baths, and you should be through that detox window soon. Okay. But what we're going to do is we are going to start by talking about food noise. So, one of the things we talk about with the purple drink system is that it reduces your food noise. So, what is that food noise? What are we talking about? So, food noise is constantly thinking about food, planning your next meal while you're eating your current one. Has anyone done that? Feeling distracted by cravings and feeling like food is just always calling your name. Maybe like every time you drive past a Dunkin' or past a fast food place or whatever, you just feel like it's calling to you, even if you're not hungry, even if you just ate. And for many people, that food noise becomes so normal that they don't realize how much mental energy it actually takes. But if you start to bring awareness to how often you are thinking about food, you might realize, like, wow, this is actually taking up a lot of mental space that I want to be giving to other things. I want to be giving that focus to other things. So, food noise tends to get louder when your blood sugar is unstable, your meals aren't satisfying because they're not built around protein and fiber. It can also be related to stress. So, when stress is high, cravings will be high too. If your sleep is poor, you will feel more food noise. If you skip meals, and if you're just bottom line not getting enough protein, that food noise will be increased. But the good news is that there are really simple things that we can do to support our body and help quiet some of that food noise. And we're going to get into a little bit about your hunger hormones and even just realizing that that feeling of hunger is signaled by a hormone. So, feeling hungry doesn't necessarily mean that your body is actually hungry. Sometimes it's just hormones are a little bit dysregulated. So, we will get there in a minute. But I want to talk to you about the blood sugar roller coaster, right? I mentioned that blood sugar is a huge part of this excessive food noise. So if you think about like the typical American diet, right? Or just like what people will typically eat in a day, it's coffee first thing, right? And a lot of times, no hydration whatsoever, just coffee, because you need that quick energy, right? Everybody's busy, everybody's rushing out the door. So, quick coffee, maybe something sugary for breakfast. So, our typical things we grab are like bagels, croissants, like high carb things. So, caffeine plus sugar, right, is our typical breakfast. So, we do get that energy boost, but then we have a mid morning crash, right? Very frequent, very common to hear about a mid-morning crash. Then what happens when you crash is you have cravings. So a lot of times we will eat too big of a lunch. And then what happens is a huge blood sugar spike. Okay, because of all of that carbohydrate we ate, which normally, what do we think about for lunch? We think about sandwiches, we think about, wraps and like things that are really high carb. You eat that large lunch, blood sugar goes through the roof. And then what happens is your body pumps out a whole bunch of insulin to bring that sugar down, and you crash and you slump. And then in the afternoon, you're reaching for snacks again, right? And our brain wants that quick fix. So, of course, what are we reaching for? We're reaching for the chocolate, we're reaching for the sugar, we're reaching for the energy drink or another coffee, right? So this is that blood sugar roller coaster that so often we're just like, get me off this ride, but we don't know how. Okay, so many people think that they have a discipline problem or like a willpower problem, just like, oh, I'm just like grabbing the wrong thing all day. When really it's like you're riding a blood sugar roller coaster and you're just trying to settle it, but you're doing it with the wrong things, right? So the goal isn't totally perfect blood sugar. It's always going to be, dipping and rising and falling, but you want to have fewer dramatic spikes and crashes. That is the goal. Those big blood sugar spikes and drops cause a lot of inflammation in your body, right? So we want to be level. And this is one of the biggest things I felt a difference with when I started taking my Plexus products. I used to be that person that no, if I didn't eat every 2 or 3 hours, I would be like super shaky and like I could not fast. Like if I had to fast for blood work or something, it was like a huge problem because I would be a mess. And I've noticed now with focusing on my nutrition, with taking my products consistently, working with my gut health, that I can actually do long fasts. Like I can do a 24-hour fast with no problem, not feeling shaky, like my body is level. And that's because you can actually train your hormones. You can train your hunger hormones and you can train your blood sugar. And so that's one thing that our products do so, so well. Yeah, Alicia, I totally, it's so relatable, right? Now it's just so much better because if I do end up having to skip a meal or needing to fast for some reason, it's like, oh, it's no big deal. And that's how it should be. Like you want to be metabolically resilient. You want your body to be able to go without food for a little while or to do a high intensity workout and be okay. Or, like you want to be resilient to just the normal things that are going to happen in your life. So the goal is to reduce those dramatic spikes and crashes. And what really helps is protein, right? We talk about it all the time, but your protein, your fiber, your hydration, and eating balanced meals consistently. So I would encourage you if you've been doing something like intermittent fasting and you feel like your metabolism has slowed down, go back to eating the 3 meals a day. Go back to eating high protein 3 times a day, at least for a little while, and then mix in fasting every now and then. What I have really enjoyed recently and felt a lot of benefit from is eating like normal. And then when I'm on my cycle, to do a long fast or two. And if you read the book Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz, she talks about like fasting with your cycle because there's certain times that you can actually work with your hormones to optimize fasting and actually get better results. So, and surprisingly, it's when you're on your cycle, which is like counterintuitive. That's when you want to like binge all the chocolate and all the things. But then how yucky do you feel, right? Like it just compounds the yucky feeling. I have found that when I do a 24-hour or at least like a 16, 18-hour fast on my cycle, I actually feel a whole lot better and have less like PMSE and type symptoms. So anyway, just a little fun tip. I know it's like 99% women in this group, so I'm sorry if you're a man and you just listen to that. You can just let that part go. Okay. But let's get a little bit into the hunger hormones. I think this is really, really interesting. So I love to share. It's a little bit sciencey, but our bodies were designed with hormones that help regulate hunger and fullness. It's not just that when your stomach is empty, you feel hungry. You have a hunger hormone called ghrelin, which I think is such a funny word, but ghrelin, I think of like a little demon, like a little monster, like a little ghrelin. I guess I'm thinking gremlin. Okay, gremlin. Okay. Ghrelin, Ghrelin. So that is your hunger hormone. And when that hormone's high, you think it's time to eat. Like, I need to eat something. And you start looking for food and you start feeling snacky. That's that hunger hormone. So ghrelin rises when you've gone a long time without eating. Okay, that makes sense. Also, when you're sleep deprived, okay, you might wake up starving if you didn't get a good night's sleep or just feel so munchy during the day, or if you're underfueled. So if your protein is low, if your nutrients are low, that ghrelin hormone is going to just be like raging. Um, and have you ever noticed how when you're starving, excuse me, can you grab my water instead of staring at me? A couple minutes. Yeah. Sorry. Kids are like staring at me. Have you ever noticed when you are starving that every single food sounds amazing? Like no matter what it is, you're like, I could so eat a cheeseburger right now or a piece of salmon or like anything. It just sounds, that's because that ghrelin is doing its job. It's just making you want food. Okay. So when ghrelin's high, you're like hungry, hungry. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need nutrients right now. And I think that's really helpful to know. Okay. You're like, I'm hungry, I must eat. Maybe, but also maybe not. These hormones can be out of whack. So I would look at your day and say, okay, have I properly fueled myself? Do I really need a 10 a.m. snack just because the kids are having a 10 a.m. snack? This is my problem, guys. All the snacks come out and I'm like, ooh, I'm hungry. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I just got the munchies. Okay, so ghrelin is the hunger hormone. The opposite is leptin. Leptin is the fullness hormone. And this is the one that says, I'm satisfied. I've had enough. I don't really want that right now, right? So it's the calm, full hormone. And leptin helps signal satisfaction, fullness, and that you have energy available, right? Because if you're hungry, it's like, I'm running low, I need fuel. Leptin's like, my fuel is high, I'm good. Um, However, things like chronic stress, poor sleep, and inflammation can make those fullness signals harder to recognize. Okay, so again, this might just be a hormone problem if you have a lot of food noise. It might not necessarily be like a nutrient problem. It almost feels like the volume gets turned down on your body's fullness signals if you're under high stress or these hormones are just dysregulated. So our goal isn't to fight our bodies. Our goal is to support these natural systems that God designed in us so that they can work well. So I just want to give you a couple practical tips. We talked a lot about protein last week. We talked about building your plate. So hopefully you've been focused on that. That continues to be the main thing. Obviously, taking your products every day is huge because your slim hunger control is really working in the background to support satiety or that feeling of fullness and satisfaction with your food. It is also working on balancing your blood sugar. Okay, so that is going to get you off the roller coaster. So make sure you're taking your products every day. Another really practical tip is to hydrate before you caffeinate. Okay, now I love a cup of coffee in the morning. I really do. But what I do first is I take my coffee mug or whatever I'm going to use and I fill it with water and I make myself stand there and drink the whole thing down before I can get any coffee. It's just like I must hydrate before I caffeinate. I still love my coffee, but I get that water in first because we wake up dehydrated. I don't know if you realize that, but you're not drinking for those 7 to 9 hours that you're in bed. We lose water just through breathing. So when you wake up, you are mildly dehydrated. And when you immediately grab caffeine, you probably won't feel thirsty because that's like been, you have liquid going down, so you feel okay. But it actually is dehydrating your body further. And that can lead to unstable energy because you can crash and stronger cravings later in the day. Okay. So I really want you guys this week to make sure that you hydrate first, enjoy like at least 16 ounces of water, and then enjoy your coffee. Okay. So you don't have to give up your coffee. I know that's a big part of a lot of people's day, but please hydrate first. Okay. Um, Another reason we're talking about hunger hormones is because our products are designed to support those fullness signals. So I just wanted to tie in that GLP-1. We talk about Slim and Trim as boosting your GLP-1. That is a peptide. It's made in your gut. So our products support your gut health so that you can actually have the right hormones and the right amounts being produced. And the products work best when they are paired with these lifestyle changes. That's why we're having the nutrition Zooms. That's why we got the meal plan out there. That's why we're talking about exercise. That's when you're going to see and feel the best results is you're consistent and you're boosting your GLP-1 from the inside, but you're also supporting that with protein, hydration, balanced meals, and most of all, consistency. Okay, consistency is really the name of the game. So quick action steps for this week. Last week, we looked at our plates, we looked at our grocery list. Hopefully, you've made some changes there. This week, I want you to focus on protein at breakfast because I think that's one of the places where we will just default to carbohydrate only, right? It's just the American breakfast of waffles and pancakes and all that stuff. So add protein at breakfast if you haven't yet. Drink water before coffee. That's your second rule for this week. Okay, so protein before breakfast, water before coffee, and then thinking about these hunger hormones, we're just going to pause before we grab a snack. We're just going to pause and we're going to ask, am I physically hungry? Should I be hungry right now? Or have I properly fueled my body and this is just hormones that need to chill out? Or am I just stressed, bored, tired, or this is just habitual, right? My kids got the chips out and now I'm just eating chips. So, not judgment, not, that you can't eat, it's fine, but just bringing awareness to when you're feeling snacky, when you're feeling those like hunger hormones, recognizing that it is a hormone, and then just pausing and taking a little inventory of what you've eaten so far today. And do you really need this? Does your body need this fuel? Or is this just hormones that are a little bit out of whack? And like I said, you actually can train these hormones. So I want you to know that as you say, like, I'm going to pass on the snack, that ghrelin hormone may be really high and you may have the munchies so bad, but it actually will go away. If you don't eat, it chills out. And that little gremlin, he goes away and your body is full. So your liver can keep your blood sugar stable, like even in fasting. Alicia, I just love the toddler activity in the background. It's great. Even when fasting. So just realize you don't always have to answer the door when that little hormone is knocking. Sometimes it's good. You need to eat. Your body's saying, I need fuel. And other times it's just out of control. Okay. So that's what we're going to focus on this week. If you guys have any nutrition questions, if you're experiencing detox and you need to work through it, or if you feel stuck with a certain meal, like what do I eat for lunch? What do I eat for breakfast, dinner? Please bring it to either our chat or our Facebook group because we can work through those things together. And I'd also love to hear your wins. So if you are experiencing less food noise, if you feel like cravings are under control, we want to celebrate that together. So thank you guys so much for listening and Alicia for joining me. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you next week on our Zoom. Bye.